Go.
Welcome to the Fatboy FadeAway podcast. We got our usual suspects. We got Casey.
What up?
Aaron.
What's going on?
We had a good week in sports. A lot going on. We got another superstar crying himself out of a city to a new city. We got NFL playoffs, a new segment, Tyler's Takes.
Looking forward to that.
Let's see how that goes. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We'll take 5 seconds of silence so you can go down, scroll, hit the like and subscribe.
I noticed that's pretty hard though.
I guess
That's
we're not
not
doing 5 seconds.
It's not an it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to do.
No,
like
and
subscribe.
hit the little thumbs up too.
That would be helpful. Even the negative. We'll take a negative thumbs down. That's all right.
Yeah.
It just means you're listening.
Interaction.
We'll take whatever it takes to get to. No, for sure. T, did you check out? You ever watch some of the NFL games yesterday?
I did.
Yeah. Well, let's start. Want to start there this week? We'll start with the NFL. We'll start with Rodgers and the Packs versus the Rams.
Man.
Let's start locally because those are the two QB battles. We got the Rams. Rams had Jared Goff here from Nevada, only about very close from us, about 40 miles drive. And then you had Aaron Rodgers, Chico, maybe a couple hours north from here. But both went to Cal. Both
Could have been the number one pick.
Surprisingly, Goff was the number one pick out of those. But that's how it goes sometimes. Let's just hit the game real quick here, though. Rodgers, he looked like the MVP yesterday. He had some really good plays. I mean, he did get away with a few interceptions at the end of the first half. But, I mean, just the play alone by the goal line is just such a pickup football play, and he's just so good at it. And it's not even like he's fast sometimes, but he's like, you call it that football fast, right? He just knows how to get to the certain spot. Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad they won. I didn't want to see the Rams in the NFC Championship game.
I had enough of them.
It was really, we're just overseeing it. And the funny thing I just read this morning is that it's going to be the first home game that Aaron Rodgers, or first NFC Championship game he hosts. So he's always had to play on the road in the championship game. So I thought that was, maybe you would think as somebody as good as he is, he would have hosted maybe a championship game here or there. I don't know why I feel like that when I read that this morning, though, like, tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like that's false. Didn't the Giants beat them? Or did the Giants beat them in the division and then the Giants beat the Niners?
The division.
Okay. So that was my only thought. I was like, I feel like they lost to him in that one, but I guess
that was
not.
Against Brett Favre, I think. That was before the.
Was that even before that?
I
think you're right.
First Super Bowl the Giants won.
Because Strahan was on those teams and stuff like that. Yeah. You're right. Okay, I'm going way back. So what do you guys think of the Packers? You glad Rams are out?
The Rams defense didn't show up. Like,
they were horrible.
They were rated the number one defense, and they just didn't have anything for them.
How many
picked them apart?
How many, I was joking with Hada yesterday because I was telling you about Aaron Donald and how he, before the game, he was playing with broken rib cartilage. And he says his quote before the game is, "I feel no pain." So I was like, wow, must be some cocaine's a hell of a drug. Whatever it's from. I don't know how you feel no pain with rib cartilage. I'm pretty sure he felt pain because he was not in the game yesterday as much as he usually would be. That made a massive difference. If you give Rodgers any time, I don't know if you guys saw the play with even Adams where he went one-on-one on Ramsey. It's like those guys can't guard
goal line
one-on-one. Well, there was a goal line play, but it was like right before the end of the first half. He basically is guarding him one-on-one. He jukes him out, slants in. It was just like 8 feet of separation, basically. Just so you give those guys time, they're pretty much done. Casey, you got any thoughts on the Packers game from yesterday?
Just big takeaways. Aaron Rodgers is just unreal. I'm glad that you finally came to the resolution that Rodgers is the MVP. I was waiting for you to come around on that one. Just the way he plays is so flawless. Like, even when he never really gets down. He's not like a yeller like Brady. He just kind of gives that like disapproving dad look when you mess up. He's just like, he's like, all right. In the goal line when he ran for that scramble, I was like, that's so crafty. And then I was like, he had no intention of even throwing that. So when he pump fake, got him up in the air, then he scores on that play. He kind of looks around like, well, if you guys can't help me up, I'm just going to do the damn thing myself. So, but that was my biggest takeaway.
Go ahead, T.
No one throws the ball like Aaron Rodgers. Like, people always talk about Marino having the best natural arm. Rodgers throws the ball so effortlessly, and it's on a line. And he's old now. He's not even he's like 38. It's crazy.
Like how long these
quarterbacks are playing.
That pass to
Lazard.
Yeah.
On the seam. And I was just like, right when he's like went to throw it, I was like, it's going to be accurate. So I was like, he's just like so money. Like like Tyler said, it's just effortless. I have seen clips of Marino though. I don't know. It's pretty close, man. Marino's people forget.
Yeah, but Rodgers can do it on the run and
Marino could too.
Weird. Well, Marino can move. Well, I guess I only remember late Marino. So I guess I don't know.
You don't remember Jerry Curl Marino. You don't remember that the Marino at the beginning. All right, let's get on to the next quarterback who reminds us of nothing like Aaron Rodgers. They play completely opposite styles, and that's Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I actually picked the Ravens to win yesterday. I just thought the Ravens maybe have been on fire coming forward. And I didn't. My kind of theory with the NFL is I kind of have a hard time trusting that new team right away. I kind of feel like they take steps to get there, and the Bills have, to their credit, have skipped the steps. I did think they were going to win last week, barely, and they did, but they played a lot better this week. Their defense seems to be getting stronger and stronger. Again, Lamar Jackson, though, is not always that test from the pass side. He puts you in such a different type of situation where you have to be aware of him, and so. As impressed as I was with the Bills, we've talked about the Bills a lot the last couple of weeks. I kind of want to focus on the Ravens side of it real quick because they're kind of a fascinating team to me because they had such a great record last year, right, in the regular season, and they go out in the divisional round to the Titans, pretty much struggling too on offense in that way. And even last week against the game they won, it wasn't anything like spectacular. This week, Lamar looks even worse. I know the win was a factor and stuff like that, but I guess my question is, can you win? Well, I guess the age-old question: can you win playing his type of style right now, because I feel like when the game gets behind, those teams just struggle to be able to come back. And the reality is, you are going to get behind sometimes in playoff games. And then the other thing which happened last night was he went down with an injury. He's elusive enough sometimes to avoid it, but you know what I mean? When you put yourself in that situation, you basically give yourself that higher risk. So I guess my question to you, gentlemen, is, I will start with you, T, is do you feel confident with him? The MVP last year, can they win with him in the playoffs?
I think they can. You can win with that style. I don't know if you can win with him because he just throws terrible that interception pick six is god awful. He just threw it right to I don't know.
How about the play before that where he missed the guy wide open too?
Yeah, and that too. But I think you can win with you need a little luck and staying healthy. And I think I would never give him weapons, maybe a running back and a fast receiver like they have, and I would just draft all defense and run the ball.
Case, I kind of feel like with him too is they have the wrong receiver with him. I don't think Brown is the guy. I think with a guy can't throw as accurately or stuff like that, you kind of want the bigger guy that can kind of, ideally could probably has more room for error for getting balls in the air.
He needs what Tampa Bay has. He needs Mike Evans type receivers.
He's Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Godwin.
I mean, just that big body receiver that you're saying, someone that's I don't know. He doesn't really Hollywood Brown's good, but he drops the ball a lot. And when he does get open, I mean, there's no one really. I mean, I guess Andrews is good, but he's the tight end, so it's every pass they make is in between the hashes, and they rarely throw the ball outside. So but I mean, part of that's by design because they don't really have that guy that can really do.
Part of that, maybe he can't throw the ball that accurately, so they don't want to put him in that situation.
No doubt, that's got to be. I mean, he's definitely he's definitely steps a level above a Tebow type. You know what I mean? He's obviously way better than that. I mean, he's an MVP for goodness sake. We're being harsh on him because we're basically judging him on the playoffs, not the regular season. He's unreal with his feet. I mean, even last night he made a few plays where it's 3rd and 13, and only he can get first downs running getting those first downs running 15 yards in a matter of 2 seconds. It feels for him to get from point A to point B. Also, the game, if you ask a Titans fan, Mr. Nick Flanagan last week, oh, one cut, goodbye. He's not catching any. He's going all the way to the house for a touchdown there. So I just thought his style of play. Just curious. I kind of like it because I've always liked the Kaepernick kind of style. I kind of. And you guys know how I am even with basketball. I want to do the post up. I kind of like going opposite sometimes to prove that it can work. But my fear with that style is always when you get to the playoffs is when you fall behind, man. We've all played Madden with those running quarterbacks. Do not fall behind. You can't come back as well when they can't throw. So I think that's the question with them going forward. So it'll be interesting to see moving to the Bills now. If they get the Chiefs or the Browns, I'm sure they'd much rather have the Browns host at home, but we'll get into that game here in a little bit. Let's move to today though. Browns, Casey. We're going to call them your Browns game. Now. We're going to call them the Casey's Browns now. We got Casey's Browns versus what we call Nick Wright's Chiefs. Is that how you got? We got basically you guys are on the same popularity level. So we got you guys right there going head to head right now. Baker versus Mahomes. We get maybe a 2016 Big 12 preview. What was the score? 85-85 in that game or something like that where they tore it up against each other. It's hard for me. Like the Browns are 10.5 points underdogs. Like I could see them maybe covering, but like I think I would still put my money on the Chiefs to even cover that score as well. I just feel like the team that has the bye is just, I don't know. They seem like they got to be more lethal. Case, we'll give you the honor because you are the resident Browns fan here on this podcast this year. So what's it going to take for them to get it done?
Man, it's going to be tough, man. That's all I'm going to say. Andy Reid coming off the bye is basically like unbeatable. I think he's got like one loss or something like that over like 20-something games. And I think you got to let Baker cook a little bit. Don't go crazy with it. But, I mean, they're going to have to use Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb a lot. But I think Jarvis Landry is going to have to step up. They have a lot in front of them, which is kind of funny, though. I saw that they've never matched up in the playoffs ever, which is the Browns and the Chiefs. Never.
Well, that's hard when the Browns are never in there. It's hard.
Well, they were back when they were good, though. When they were good, though.
The Bernie Kosar days.
The Bernie Kosar
days.
Exactly. But that's when the Chiefs were horrible, the 80s.
But like I don't know. I mean, it's funny when you're talking about reminisce a little bit about when they faced each other because Baker wasn't good enough to play on that Texas Tech team. And so Mahomes in that game, they had over 700 yards passing. Baker had over 550. And Oklahoma won. So I don't think that's going to replicate in this game, but I don't know. It's going to be a tough grind, but I believe in the Browns. I think they got it.
Hopefully the defensive players are a step above that. The defensive players on the field that day in 2016. Chubb's the key, I think, for the Browns. He's proven it the whole season. I mean, they're like 10-3 with him on there, 2-2 without him. He went to Georgia, right? I didn't think he was going to be this good. And then you throw Hunt in there.
He was hurt all the time.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, he's legit.
I think he's the second best running back in the NFL. Well, maybe I guess I forgot about McCaffrey.
And Kareem Hunt's going to want some revenge against his old team.
For sure. So, Tyler, who do you got? Who do you like?
And the Browns have their coach back.
I've been hating on the Browns all year. I never thought we'd come to this, a divisional game with the Browns. But I think they actually have like the team that could beat them. I think the key's Myles Garrett. Like if he can get pressure on Mahomes, and that's when the Chargers almost beat him. That's how Bosa was all over Mahomes, and that's how you beat Mahomes, is getting pressure and beating him up.
It is kind of
obviously
funny.
Mahomes is going to make his plays, and then you run the ball with Chubb and Hunt. So I think the Browns actually have like a decent recipe, but the Chiefs are the Chiefs. So I still expect them to win.
It's kind of funny when you think about it that the Raiders and Chargers are the only teams that gave them problems this year. The Raiders actually beat them, but they had that nucleus.
Which kind of makes sense because you're a division team, right? And I think that's
divisional teams always give more.
I think if you're scouting the playoffs, you usually look at those divisional matchups because you kind of tend to pick a tendencies. And the one thing with the Chiefs we figured out is this is how you beat them. You either need to score 40, right? Or like you said, Tyler, you have to be able to get that pass rush with 4 people because Mahomes is too good to escape. And then he can throw the ball, obviously, like nobody we've seen.
And he's gonna give the defense a chance to pick him off. Like it happens twice a game. It's just rarely actually converted for an interception.
Yes, that's true. Yes, T. I see you got one more point there.
They have the pass rusher to do it.
Yeah. So, hey, is that game on CBS?
I think so.
CBS.
I hope so.
I hope so. I'd love to hear Jim.
So we get Tony and Jim. So who's the best announcer combination that we got? Do we like Al and Chris better? Do we like, because now we're seeing like the ESPN's
like
even get involved
Jim.
in here a little bit. Yeah, you like Jim. Who do you like, Case?
Oh, I love
Tony
Jim Nance and
and Jim.
I mean,
always the best. I kind of lean towards Jim Nance's too. Definitely a little bit more over Buck or something like that. So I really like Al Michaels the best, but I'm not the biggest Chris Cole. I'm not as big about Chris, so I just think I just like Al Michaels probably more from the NBC side.
My second would probably be Gus Johnson, though. I love Gus.
He doesn't even do NFL, does he?
Every once in a while, yeah. But I love his enthusiasm for the game.
Yes, that is enthusiasm. They want a shot by Kareem Rush.
It's run away from the
Missouri Tigers. We're like, easy, Gus. It's 4-2, buddy. Relax.
You guys run away from the cop speed.
Oh gosh, is that what everyone said that? All right, let's get to the last game. This game, I believe, is on the History Channel. It's the Bucks versus the Saints. You got 45-year-old Tom Brady.
That's like the History Channel
versus 42-year-old Drew Brees. The Saints get Michael Thomas back this week. To me, this is the game.
He was back last week.
Or he's back. They get him back. He's back in the playoffs. We didn't really talk about him as much last week. No. He's back this week fully with Breeze back. Probably the last time these two will ever match up. I don't think Breeze is coming back. I think we've talked about that. I think he's going to be done after this year. I mean, who do we like in this one? To me, I favor the Bucks actually in this one. It's hard for me to see Tom going out. It's one of those things where it's just like it's like, how do you bet it? How do you go against Tom Brady? It's like he's still playing pretty well. I mean, yeah, he statted the last 2 weeks of the season, but he ended up with 40 touchdown passes, which is still, when Cam Newton throw 8,
terrific.
So it's just like it's hard for me to go against the GOAT. And as good as the Saints are, and as good as Kamara is, I don't think the Bucks are that bad either. And I have a theory where it's hard to beat a team 3 times, especially a really good team. And I don't think the Saints can beat them 3 times. And that's what I'm banking on for this one right here. So, Case, again, your Super Bowl team is still alive. You have the Browns versus the Bucks. You get the honor. Who do you like in this one?
Well, I got to keep rolling with the bees, so I'm going to go with the Bucks. And I don't know, it's gonna be a good game, man. I'm stoked. It's you got 2 legends going against each other, and like you said, it might be Breeze's last year. He said that for the last 4 years, but then Uncle Tom, 43. I'm like, good God, man, that's crazy.
45.
45?
No.
Tom's not 45.
Is he 45? No, he's 43. You're right.
43.
You're right. He wants to play till he's 45. That's
it's like, no. Their combined age is like, what, 85?
85.
But no, it's gonna be a hell of a game. I think, it's gonna come down to Bucks receivers making play, no risk it, no biscuit. So I don't know. Bruce Arians, can he get over the hump? I don't know. We'll see. But
I can promise you they're gonna run the ball more than 3 times.
And then last time they played, what was it, 38-0? It's 38-3 like that last time they played. So who do you like, T?
I like the Bucks as well. Antonio Brown looks like he's back to being Antonio Brown. And then you have Godwin, who's been tearing it up. And then Evans is like a lost cause the last month. He's been a little banged up, but
yeah,
you still have him. He's a threat every time you get in the red zone.
He had over 100 yards receiving last game.
I have no idea how somebody plays with a hamstring injury. As somebody that's pulled a hamstring and they say this man has a tender hammy, I'm like, how is he even ready yet? I don't even know how he does it. Yeah, Mike Evans has been hurt. I feel like I drafted my fantasy. I feel like from day one, that man has been hurt he's been questionable from every game this whole season. So I think you're right. They need their receivers. I feel like are going to give them the edge as well. And I feel like the running backs aren't even that bad. So hopefully they run the ball more than 3 times. They get a little bit ahead and we get a Bucks upset. I'm kind of just hoping for a good game. I mean, honestly, what has there been one good game the whole playoffs so far?
Yesterday's game were terrible. I was just like.
And then after the Bills Colts, they were all bad too, right? Last weekend. I mean, none of them were really that great. I mean, maybe the Browns since you were rooting for.
Yeah, the Browns and Bucks.
You were rooting for those. That's about it.
I love this Steelers-Browns game. I was just tweeting up a storm, and I never tweet. I was just like, come on.
I know. Casey getting excited over there. So I expect a lot of tweeting that around 12:05.
Well, that's what happens when
Tommy.
Juju Smith-Schuster talks a bunch of shit and you get down 28-0. It's just like, oh man, it's just like that's not a good feeling. That's a lot of isolation on that sideline.
Yeah, they were doing a lot.
Big idiot.
I like the Claypool part too.
What are they doing? Kind of just shut up.
That's the thing about Mike Tomlin.
His own defensive lineman was like, "Go on vacation. Shut up."
Yeah, I know. He's that. When your own teammate is saying that, it's like unbelievable. That's the thing about Mike Tomlin. Is like I think he's actually one of the best coaches in the league. But it's weird how he has these like diva guys at times that just like remember Brown with the Facebook thing. Like there's just like these issues that he's always having to deal with in Pittsburgh. Even though he's like such a, if he ever got fired, he'd be rehired immediately. So like he's such a good coach, but it's just funny he has to deal with these kind of drama things from his wide receivers every like couple of years and stuff like that.
Remember when he tried to trip the guy returning the kick?
Was that in Baltimore? I feel like it was like a Thanksgiving game even or something like that.
Yeah, it was a Thanksgiving night game, I think. They always play Thanksgiving night.
I thought he said he had a hitch on, or I thought he said he had an itch on his heel.
Watch the replay. He's lying out of his ass.
I know, just kidding. All right, well, gentlemen, enjoy the division round this week. I do miss from last week. It was kind of cool having 3 games on Saturday and three games on Sunday.
Yeah, I hope they keep the same system.
Absolutely.
I like the system.
It'd be nice if the games were a little better, but yeah, I do like the system.
I mean, you can't control that.
So it's kind of nice having that one at 10, that one at 1, and the one at 5. So like last week, Tyler, when we watched the one at 10, did a little golfing range at 1, came back for 5. So it's like you still get all the games still mixed up there. So it's good stuff there. So all right, well that's our take on the NFL games this week.
I really am hoping for a Rodgers-Brady matchup in the playoffs.
Yes.
I haven't gotten it. Wanted it in the Super Bowl, but one of them, normally Rodgers.
It's kind of like I always wanted that LeBron-Kobe matchup. We never got it. It's like you want to just see it one time before they go with it. So, all right. Well, that's our
Baker versus Brady. Baker versus Brady.
That's what Casey really. Everybody's dying to see the Baker versus Brady matchup. All right. Well, we'll be back with Tyler's takes. First episode. We'll be right back.
Peace.
All right, and we're back with a new segment this week. We got we're gonna try it. We got Tyler's takeaway. The idea of it behind Right T is your one big takeaway from the week. It could be from anything, but this week I think you're gonna go with the NFL and especially around the Jacksonville area and Urban Meyer. Correct? So why don't you go take it from there?
What a hire! Normally I hate college coaches I never like them. We had Chip Kelly in San Francisco, big bum. I think Urban's a little different. He works hard. He almost died coaching because he would study too much and got too intense, and that's the type of intensity you need in the NFL. I think a key is him drafting Trevor Lawrence and not being an idiot and taking Josh Fields, because if he does that, this is all null and void. But I really like the hiring. I think Urban's going to be good as long as you can tell that the college game is more like, or the NFL is adopting the college game and the spread and the mobile quarterbacks and just making space for playmakers to make plays, where before it was 3 yards of the cloud of dust. And this sucks.
No, I think you're right on with that. It's not Josh Fields, it's Justin Fields. So hopefully they don't.
Did I say Josh? The baseball player?
But no, I think it's a good hire though. But I mean, college coaches have been known not to pan out, especially at that high level. I think what he's got to do is not take total control, like where he's doing the GM part plus picking the players.
Wisdom Hunt to call plays.
Yeah, so I mean that's a good start. But Steve Spurrier, Nick Saban, guys like that. But now the college game, I think's adapted to the NFL more so. I mean, they're all playing like 7-on-7s. The field's open. Now you're watching it. It's kind of like how the NBA became like a 3-point league. It's like things change over time, but he's been out of it for a little bit. But I mean, he had that huge brain cyst that kept causing him issues. And I mean, he had stints everywhere he's gone, like Utah State. He was good there. He was over at Utah, excuse me, my bad. And then he was over at Florida. And then he came to Ohio State, and every program he's done great at. It's just he doesn't really stay too long. Like I think he was there 4 years, 7 years, and that's what also comes with it. So, but I think he's going to be a good hire. It's just You got to get the right pieces. They got a ton of cap room for Jacksonville this year. So if they get Trevor Lawrence,
$77 million.
Yeah. So and no state tax. So you got 4 years basically with a quarterback on cheap to do something with it. And I think, if you give him 4 or 5 years, if he sticks around that long, I think they can turn it around. I mean, it's been a while. I mean, the last good quarterback, which is crazy. I mean, kind of good was Mark Brunell, and then Byron Leftwich was kind of like, But
how dare you disrespect David Garrard like that? How dare you disrespect David Garrard like that?
I mean, their last choice was Blake Bortles, so it's only got to get better from there. So I don't know.
I only got to point this out because I was on the phone with Nick the other night. He goes, how do you give Blake Bortles 5 years to try to be good at quarterback? I just thought that was funny. Yeah, Tyler, with the college coach coming in, I think that's a good point with Meyer. It'll be interesting because the NFL seems to be adopting a lot more of the college type system. They do, they go a lot more 5 wide. They run like just a ton more wide receiver screens, a lot more like that action with the receivers. So I think you're onto something with him being with just the whole game changing. It seems like before NFL coaches were like in kind of like the 90s and early 2000s, they didn't want to hire the college coach. But that's definitely changing now. These guys are smart. They a lot. If you think about it, a lot of those NFL teams adopted from the college system. They would go down, visit with these college coaches, and then they would use it.
Bill Belichick would always pick Urban Meyer's brain every offseason. Another thing is people say recruits the best, and he does recruit well. But at Utah, he didn't have overwhelming talent, and he won a BCS bowl game, so he can coach it as well. It's not it's whether he can get along with players, whether he needs that Nick Saban psycho in it. I don't know if he has that, but I don't think he does. It seems like most people like playing for him.
It seems like he does, and like you said, he needs to definitely take a. It was always kind of fake. I felt like though, that's my only thing with him is I don't get this everybody likes him, but as somebody that watches him on TV and that's all we have, right? I don't know him personally. Yeah. We're just based on that. Yeah. Something doesn't always feel genuine about him in a weird way, the way he's I don't when he's speaking something. Sometimes I'm wondering if it's just bit hearsay in a sense, or to try to get something else. You know what I mean? I feel like he's speaking, but
salesman.
Yeah, when I hear somebody like Steve Nash talk, I'm like, this is a man who's Canadian. He's way too honest. When he's he's just I didn't know Irving was going to be here. Most coaches would hide that, or he just is honest about it. And so that's my only thing with him is with NFL players, these are grown men, so you're gonna have to be completely straightforward with them. But I think he knows that. He's a good coach.
Well, he's probably coached about 25% of the league.
Yeah,
seems like they all came from Ohio State or some region of there.
He did coach Aaron Hernandez, CTE, and
he did do that as well. So I think it's a good hire over. I think it's a good takeaway from the week. It'll be interesting to see how his career ends up here. I think obviously the reason he went there, he gets number 1 pick. He gets his choice of quarterback, probably Lawrence. He's in Florida, where he obviously has been for a lot of his years. And he has, like Casey said, $77 million in cap room. He gets to build the team how he envisions. And he has an owner who is a new owner, and it sounds like he's highly motivated to get more involved as well. So, and I'm sure I didn't actually get the contract on it, but it's got to be. I'm thinking it's got to be
a massive deal.
It's got to be close to a Gruden type contract is what I'm thinking. Maybe not the 10 years, but I bet it's something like 7 years, 75 million or something like that. I bet it's something crazy like that where he just gets a ton of money. So, all right. Well, T, you got any more to add to that one? We good?
We're good.
All right. Well, that's our NFL for the week. Tyler's takeaway from the NFL side. We'll be back.
Happy, Tyler.
Come on, cheer up, T. Cheer up over there.
Episode 1. It needs some refinement.
Everybody out there, encourage him. We need that encouragement. All right, we'll be back with the NBA segment. Please stay for that. All right, welcome back to the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. We're here with the NBA segment for the week. As we know, we're all 3 very big NBA fans here. Watch it all the time. Love playing it. So let's get into it. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about this week regarding the NBA. The offense has been unreal. There's no defense being played. I'm enjoying all of it. I just feel like there's a lot of good young players right now, a lot of good veteran players. I'm just really enjoying it, especially after coming off the pandemic. For me, I just love having it back and watching it. And then the big story, though, for the week is we get the big one is Harden finally gets traded. from the Rockets to the Nets. He gets rid of the fat suit, shows up in New Jersey, Brooklyn, looking good. I don't know how he does it. He lost like all that water weight in like 2 days. It was very impressive. I don't know where I saw a tweet. It was like James Harden. They're like, this is James Harden after the trade is like, take him off like a little fat suit or something like that. I was like, oh, that's good. So here's the trade. Nets get Harden. Rockets get Victor Oladipo, Exum, and 3 first-round picks, 22, 24, and 26. And they also get 4 pick swaps in the odd years in those two. So 21, 23, 25, and 27. So they get a ton of picks. Pacers get LeVert and a second-round pick, and the Cavs end up with another big man, and Allen, who I really like, and they get Taurean Prince as well. I mean, we kind of all knew it was coming. Let's set it up a little bit. Why Harden was traded, not the whole way back, but just at the beginning of the week. They play the Lakers on Tuesday night. Lakers obviously are one of the best teams in the league. They're clicking on all cylinders right now. I don't think LeBron is the biggest fan of Harden, and I think he was looking for a chance to just maybe take that knife, stab it, and twist it a little bit on him. And he certainly did on Tuesday night, especially with the look away 3 and the way they celebrated. He basically, I think he made Harden quit that night fully. And so I wanted to read Harden's quote after the game, and then we'll get into what we think about the trade. So after that butt kicking by the Lakers and Harden's zero effort, if you watched that game, which I did, because the Rockets were fun to watch back then. There was little effort. You had people getting ejected
all the way
left
back
right.
till Tuesday.
Well, I'm saying even before that, 3 weeks even before that, they're just not, nobody's chasing people down Harden. So it was good stuff. Harden's throwing passes to people when they're not even cutting. So I'm enjoying watching it. So here's his quote after the game: "We're not good enough, chemistry, talent wise, just everything. They are a veteran team, a championship team, and one of the best teams that we have in the league. I love the city. I've literally done everything I can. This situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So thanks." And he left. So that's how he kind of went Tuesday. Obviously, throwing the atom bomb at the organization, like, it's time. Move me on. Yeah. I'm going to keep blowing you guys up until this happens. And they do that. They do the trade. So how are we feeling about Harden forcing his way out? Is it a bad look? And then how do we think the trade's going to work out overall for the Nets? Tyler, we'll give you the first crack at this one.
First off, I don't think he said anything wrong in his quote. It's a stupid thing to say, but I think he was accurate. Second, what do I think of the trade? Is that what you guys say?
Yeah, what do you think? It's going to work out?
I think Nets did a good you have to take a chance, I think. I mean, you're giving up a lot, but you have Durant, Harden, and maybe Kyrie, hopefully Kyrie. And you hope you should get to the finals, and you take your chance.
What do you think about him forcing his way out a little bit, though? Are you good with the way he did it?
It's the only business where millionaires have more power than billionaires. Like, I don't get how they have this power to get out. Like, everybody who wants to trade now gets out.
Do you think it's the really GM weird thing, and basically the GM thing more so? Because like in the NBA, you're so dominant. It's such a one-player dominated league at times where your team can really switch from one player. I wonder if it's like these players, they have the power because they know that if I'm this good, your team, you won't be relevant anymore. Your team won't make money sometimes if you're not on that team. So I wonder if that also presents that challenge for NBA.
Yeah, but when you have 2 years on your contract still, like, I think that's kind of void, that because you could have kept him, and you're going to be watching. Like, he's loved or was loved in Houston. He has to be like top 5 Houston player of all time.
No, he's top 2. I'd say top 2, Hakeem, and then Harden.
And Kenny Smith.
You're probably right.
I mean, he never delivered a chip, but.
Well, okay, Case, before I let you get on your thing about it, Tyler, I wanted to go back to Harden forcing his way out. I'm okay with a player saying it's over. It's time for me to move on. Like, maybe they'll take even Anthony Davis's situation, for example. Like, I didn't necessarily love the way he did it, but I felt like he gave it a real shot in New Orleans. He did everything he could. The organization at that point was kind of not there anyways. The Harden one I have a little harder time with because I feel like they've kind of catered to him more. You know what I mean? They've built this offense around him. They've kind of let him take as many shots as he wants to. They've let him in some ways have a lot of say in who they're bringing in player wise. I mean, they literally traded 3 first-round picks last year for Westbrook, and now they traded him this year. It's just funny, like how that works out. He's isolated a lot of teammates. The Dwight Howard one, I'm not going to hold too much against him, but I know they had a fallout. Kevin McHale obviously with him. You have Chris Paul. You have Westbrook as well last year. So he doesn't have the greatest track record sometimes with those guys as well. And I just feel like with him, for me, it's like I just feel like when the team caters to you like that, and you haven't actually won the championships yet, and I feel like the team's still trying to win. I don't know. To me, I just didn't get the same feeling like I got with some of the other ones. Case, what do you think about it?
I think the way he went about it was wrong. I don't think like wanting to leave was, you can see the talent. They have talent, but they surrounded him. It was kind of weird how they did it because, he's the most elite offensive player in the game. Most would agree. Then you bring John Wall over, then you bring Boogie Cousins, and then you get rid of Covington. So, I mean, if you look at their team, they have really no defense. Yeah, I've signed Wood, but they're all offensive players, which is kind of weird. I thought, I know you need offense to win, but Harden's so good, he's going to want the ball, and his usage rate was already going down this year. Granted, he wasn't exactly giving, I wouldn't even say maybe 60% effort, but to me, the way he went about it was wrong. But now when you look at like where his situation is, it's kind of like you said, millionaires versus billionaires in this aspect. And it seems like the players are always getting what they want. But part of that is because their union's so strong. And I guarantee every NFL player is like, man, dude, like how the hell do these guys keep doing this? Like, and they get all guaranteed money. They get to choose their city where they want to go to, who they want to play with. To me, it's just like, it's the only sport besides maybe baseball that you can get away doing that stuff. I mean, where
baseball, you can't do it like this.
Yeah, I mean, you can mix and match contracts, but not like this, though. This is like a whole nother thing. And the Brooklyn, I mean, hats off to them. I mean, I think you needed to go that route. I personally, I don't know, this is all speculation on my part, but I don't think the Rockets wanted to trade him to Philly because they didn't want them going to the finals, maybe with Morey and Harden. That just looks like just looks bad on their resume.
What I kind of read about that one and what I heard was that it was maybe more so that Philly didn't want to, they kind of were looking to get him for cheaper than that. Like maybe 75 cents on the dollar opposed to paying as much as the Nets did. So I think that was more thing with Philly is, if at the end of the day it's like, oh, we didn't want to give up Maxey for Harden, it's like, okay, then I have an issue with it. But it's like I feel like they were just too cheap, I guess, in a way with it. They didn't want to go all in a sense.
I thought they didn't want to give up Ben.
That probably was part of it too, but I know they also wanted Maxey as well. I've heard to give in these other players as well. Like they had to give up Allen contract wise and some other guys. Like I don't think Simmons' contract was enough to match Harden's contract. Yeah, let's go to the Nets part of this real quick. Just from the standpoint of playing together. I mean, when you have 3 scorers that can score 25 a night, in Harden's case and Durant's case, easily 30 points a night, Irving probably the same once in a while. It's going to be an interesting mix when they start to play the big boys. I mean, they're going to destroy all the normal teams throughout the year, and it's just going to be interesting when they get to the playoffs and they get to that second, third round, and you get in those stressful end of the game situations, last 4 minutes. And that's really what it comes down to, right? It's like these guys can ball out for 45 minutes just playing their style, and they're going to be in the games. It's when they play these elite teams that separate it. Can they get there? Then Harden's defense is going to be a factor as well. You figure he's going to get more isolated than ever, or more in pick and rolls than ever if teams are smart about it. So I guess you could give me both scenarios. I could see a scenario where it works out beautifully, and then I could also see a scenario where maybe it doesn't work out as well. I think Steve Nash is in a good situation, but he's in a very
tough situation.
He's in a counselor type situation now. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out for the Nets. I'm sure, I know talking to you guys this week, you both think they're probably now both in the finals for sure. We thought they were in before that. I kind of like Brooklyn's team with the depth they had with LeVert.
Well, did you hear about Karis LeVert?
I did hear about that. So maybe with that, Tyler, let's get there. Yeah, obviously the Pacers get bad luck again. Let's go to that side of it. What do we think of the Rockets, Pacers, or Cavs? Anybody in that part of it kind of get did you like any parts of their deals at all?
I like the Pacers when they had a healthy LeVert. I thought that was a good,
especially with Sabonis and Brogdon now. My goodness.
Yeah, I think that would have been a nice little. I know it's not like championship, but it's a fun little trio to build on.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, I think on like Monday or something, is a surprising, entertaining team to watch. Usually the Pacers, I think of like just put bottom of the watchable list. They're actually kind of entertaining to watch now. It's really bad news about LeVert though being hurt there. I don't know what the Cavs are doing. They have like 25
It's like a growth
now.
on it, something. It's not even like hurt. It could be super.
Yeah,
serious.
it's like a kidney stone or something like that.
He
right?
has a growth on his kidney or something.
Yeah, it's a scary situation there. So definitely prayers up to him and the Rockets. They take a chance on Oladipo. Hopefully he gets back and they get 35 million picks and they just try to make one of those picks work. It kind of reminds me of Brooklyn again. They're kind of doing the same thing like they did with the Garnett Pierce thing, right? Case where they basically traded for these guys. Obviously Harden's in a much better position than those two guys were at that point. We all knew that those guys were done, but Brooklyn traded all those picks and ended up being like Jaylen Brown for Boston and stuff like that. So if you're a Nets fan, you got to be fired up, but you also got to be a little nervous when you hit the 2025 season. You're going to be in the same spot you were before. But if it brings you a championship, then so be it.
Yeah, I said to hell with it. Just mortgage the future. I mean, what do you got to lose really at that point?
Yeah. I mean, that GM's not even guaranteed to be there in 2025. Yeah. So what does he care?
He doesn't. And that's the thing. These guys, they're just going to go on. That's why they do these trades, right? It's like how it worked out. And I kind of brings me to our next thing now, which is, after this trade, I heard a lot about especially from like my friends like Matt and a few other people I heard online was, like these big player trades and forcing their way out and the history of them. Like, oh, these guys, these players always do that. And these teams get the short end of the stick and get screwed. And I'm like, yeah, they usually do get the short end of the stick because they're not getting the best player. But I thought it'd be interesting to look back at some of the trades and actually see what they were. So I'm just going to go through a few of them real quick. I went 10 years back at the history of these trades when it's big players wanting to trade out to a different team. So the first one's Carmelo, wanted out from the Knicks to the Nuggets. The
Knicks didn't work out for the Knicks, really.
No, it didn't. The Nuggets end up with Wilson Chandler. They ended up with Raymond Felton. They ended up with Mozgov, Gallinari, and they ended up with a 2016 first-round pick, which turned out to be Jamal Murray. Now, am I saying that, you want to wait 6 years, then wait another 10 for him to develop? But at the end of the day, that's not the worst trade in the world that they ended up with Carmelo. So that's one of them. Then you get to the other ones like Darren Williams to Brooklyn. That was kind of a sneaky one at the time because the Jazz basically were just like, all right, you're pissing us off, goodbye. They don't make a big deal out of it. They just kind of traded him right away. And they ended up getting 3 first-round picks as well over the years. If I was to tell you, did you know, gentlemen, those 3 picks they ended up with all ended up being top 5 picks. This is who they took with those top 5 picks. They took Favors, bust. They took Devin Harris, and they took Cantor. So I would say that's not a bad return for Darren Williams, but they just ended up taking 5 bad players with those top 5 picks.
Who the heck? Devin Harris?
Yeah, the point guard used to play.
From
Wisconsin.
I thought he was drafted by the Mavs.
No, he ended up with the Mavs.
Okay.
But he was
that was that long ago?
Yep. So that's what I'm saying.
Old,
so
my friend.
But it's funny, you look at those top 5 picks, like, right, you trade that guy, you end up with top 5 picks. At the end of the day, that's not a horrible trade. We get into some other ones here real quick. We got Paul to the Clips. This is the one where probably it's the opposite argument here. The Clippers definitely got the better in this deal. They're getting Paul in his prime. The Hornets somehow end up with Al Farik Amino, Chris Kaman. I'll let you finish the rest of that sentence.
Came in your face?
Yes. And then we have Eric Gordon, who's a nice player, and a first-round pick that ended up being Austin Rivers. You got to get more than that for Chris Paul at his prime. Then we get the one for George to Indiana.
And don't forget he got traded to the Lakers, and that was too unfair.
Yes, because they were owned, right? The Hornets were owned by David Stern at that time. We got George to OKC. They get Oladipo and Sabonis. At the time, people ripped on that trade. Me as well. Was not a big fan of that trade. But Sabonis and Oladipo, now you look at it, it's not the worst trade in the return in the world for those type of players, especially the way Sabonis is going. Kyrie to Boston. Cleveland just gets absolutely screwed in this one. They end up with Crowder. They end up with hurt Isaiah Thomas. And then they end up with a first-round pick. It does turn into Colin Sexton, but still, I mean, Kyrie Irving for that is not enough to get for something like that.
But once again, he didn't do anything in Boston.
No, he didn't. So sometimes that's my
So,
thing
like,
too with these trades. It's but that's not enough probably for your return for the guy if you're Cleveland, right? You're probably hoping to get more than that.
Yeah.
But you did end up with Colin Sexton at the end of the day. He's not Kyrie Irving, but you get that there. A couple more here. You get Butler to the T-Wolves. They end up with Levine and Marketing and Chris Dunn. Again, you get a couple nice players. The Bulls are probably hoping one of those guys turns into a stud. Again, not quite Jimmy Butler return. The worst one on the list, without a doubt, is Kawhi Leonard. I feel like to the Raptors, they end up with DeRozan and Hurdle and a first-round pick that we don't know anything about quite yet. So I feel like that one, considering Kawhi is one of the top 5 players in the league, DeRozan and Mr. Hurdle are not enough for Mr. Kawhi Leonard there at the end of the day. And then we got 2 more here to end it. OKC to the Clippers. We got George again now to the Clippers. So basically now they end up with Gallinari, Shea Gilchrist, and 5 first-round picks that OKC ends up with for that George trade. They get 5 first-round picks as well as 2 player swaps. So they end up with 7 picks.
Would you rather have the Oladipo Sabonis, or would you rather have 5 first-round picks and Shea Gilchrist and whoever?
Yeah. I think I'd rather.
Which one would you rather have?
I think I'd rather have the Sabonis just because I know he's really
good. You get Sabonis?
Yeah, I mean, he's a top 30 player right now. And I don't know. I mean, you would think you can hit with one of those top 5 picks or those first round picks, but just like how the Nets proved, they might not even hit with 3 top 5 picks over time. So I think if you give me Sabonis on that one. Last one, we'll end it. This to me is the fairest of the trades. And if we look at the history, is the Lakers get Anthony Davis. New Orleans ends up with Ball. They end up with Ingram, who's a nice player, Hart, and then they end up with 3 first-round picks. My point is, with that, they got a massive haul for it. They end up with Ingram, who's a pretty good player in there. So I just thought it was interesting to look back at some of these trades and actually give facts to what it is. And you can see that
a
usually
fair trade, though.
It's not a fair. It's never a fair trade in terms of, I think, Tyler, what you're saying. I think my point of bringing this up and interested in researching it was because you said without a doubt, the star player is usually the best player to get, right? So that usually means the best that the team that gets him had the better part of the deal, which is true. But hold on, let me finish. It is true.
Yeah, okay.
But after looking at some of this, you can say that some of these teams were in position to actually do okay with it as well, considering you're stuck. You know what I mean? If these guys want out, you kind of have to end up with something. And I thought it's interesting to look at how some teams ended up with a lot. And then now moving forward, it seems like trading all these picks, it seems to be the thing. So I don't know, just your guys' thoughts on some of those trades and what it kind of means.
I'll take proven talent over picks any day of the week. I don't know what you're going to get. I don't know. That's just me. I think I would trade picks. I would just give them away. Not give them away, but I mean, I'll take over an all-star that's been an all-star over Derek Favors.
But then you might end up in a situation like the Clippers. What if Kawhi and George aren't there in 3 years and they have no picks?
At least you got a shot. 8 years. At least you got a shot. I mean, I'd rather at least go for it than just be like a 6th seed and know I'm getting bounced in the 1st or 2nd round every year.
But you also have to think of it. You might lose them to free agency and get nothing.
That's true as well.
Yeah, but if you're the Raptors, would you take 1 title and get it rid?
But you're not guaranteed a title if you keep them.
Yeah, and that situation.
That was one time it happened.
Anthony Davis last year.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
You're guaranteed a shot with this. You're guaranteed a shot with it. I'm just thinking of it from I think a lot of people think that these guys don't get anything back. And you just prove that you do get things back. Maybe it's not always to that guy's value.
Make it work.
This might be a little off the wall, but would you give up 7 first-round picks for Patrick Mahomes if you were the Niners?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
Why would I?
Yeah.
Because I get the best player in the NFL.
And that's what the Lakers did. So it's then you take a chance. And then you take a chance of him signing with you for 5 more years.
I get why you do it. I'm just saying you have to do it if you're the team with the player who's not going to re-sign. He says, I'm leaving. So
you have to do it.
Something.
You can just sit him.
The Pelicans weren't going to win a championship with that team.
I
know. If they keep him, then you lose in that free agency.
That's what I'm saying. So you can either just say kick rocks and you can just sit on the bench like what the Spurs did with Leonard for that whole year. But then they're like, well, we got to get something eventually. We don't want to just let them go for nothing.
So
it's like
I don't know. I don't think we're agreeing and just arguing about nothing.
I'm just saying you don't have to trade him if you don't want to.
Yes. The
it's going to make life hell for you, and you're going to be like living like what the Rockets were doing, where the guys eventually going to say these guys are sorry, they're bums causing, like they just basically told him don't show up at the facility anymore, but then he's still getting a check. Like, I don't know.
I still think like it's a little. You're getting the star player, but I feel like when you're giving up that many picks, yeah, you're still going to win. But I'm just saying, I'm just still kind of curious that teams are still willing to do that, given the Brooklyn like kind of blueprint they gave. But I guess at the end of the day, it's like you just have all this pressure to win, and you want to win so bad that, and you only have a slight window to get these type of players, so you take a chance on it. So I think it's a good trade. I just wanted to actually see what these people actually got for it. In some of these cases, it wasn't horrible. And in some cases, it was really awful. So I just thought it was kind of interesting to see how these trades actually worked out with it. So,
but none of the players who traded the star players became championship contenders except for the Celtics, are kind of there.
No, and I'd say, though, maybe the Nuggets with that Carmelo trade, they were solid there. They never won a championship, but they they even probably had a better season than Carmelo ever had in New York. They were like, a 3 seed one time with them.
Yeah.
So my point being is, like, it's not perfect. Like, you look at that Brooklyn one, like you get top 5 picks, you're hoping you hit on one of those type of deals. So that's kind of there with that. So that's the history. That's the Harden part of this NBA segment. We'll be back with the Warriors part. We're going to get into Wiseman and Ball a little bit. And maybe if the Warriors, if they had to do it again, would they take Ball this time? We'll be back. All right, we're back. Let's get into the Wiseman Ball situation here. I wanted to get into the rookie class. It's been actually a pretty good rookie class, like we talked about last week. I think if we had to redraft it again, the top 3 would probably be Ball, Wiseman, and Halliburton. Probably that would be my guess. Is that is somewhere in that order there? But I really wanted to get into to Ball and to Wiseman, because as a Warriors fan with that number 2 pick, I saw a mock draft and they had the T-Wolves taking Ball at number 1 this time, and the Warriors still taking Wiseman at 2. So it kind of made me think again. And based on some of the tweets I get from some of our guys, like and I don't know, I know they're big Ball fans over there in his game. So I kind of see some of the stats there on a weekly basis of how he's doing and stuff. And I mean, the reality is he's averaging 11 points on 40% free throw shooting, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1.6 steals. And his PER is 18.23. Wiseman's got 11. He's shooting 48%, 6.3 rebounds, a little bit less than an assist, and basically 2 blocks a game with a 13.59 PER. And the thing that I found interesting was, given the way we've been watching the Warriors play, and we kind of text between each other during the week of how frustrating it is that they don't really have any playmakers on the team, really it's really just Curry or bust right now on the perimeter, and Draymond is just nothing offensively right now other than passing the ball, right? He does nothing to the table. It kind of makes me think, as much as he
brings a good triple single.
Exactly. and the one thing with Wiseman, though, that I really like, so this isn't a rip on Wiseman. This is just kind of more, if the Warriors had to do it again after seeing the team now for a few weeks and seeing how the potential of Wiseman, seeing the potential of Ball, kind of seeing some of the struggles the Warriors have on the perimeter a little bit, if you had to do it again, do you think the Warriors would have been better off drafting Ball instead of Wiseman moving forward? Before I go, T, let's give you the first shot at this one. What do you think? You think that, I don't know, to me, it's that perimeter side. They just, that playmaking, the Warriors just lack so much of it.
They have no backup point guard that's an NBA player, at least. I mean, maybe like an 8th man at best.
Yeah.
So this year for sure, they like, if they're a 1 year thing, you take LaMelo. Yeah, LaMelo.
Fucking, I messed you up by calling you LeAngelo before.
You have to, like, because he's more ready than Wiseman, even though he looks like a little kid. Like, well, Wiseman looks like a grown man. Wiseman can't stay on the floor. He fouls too much, or Kerr doesn't want him to get too many minutes. I don't understand that part either. And point guards just have more impact in today's game than big men. So yeah, I'm still love Wiseman. Like, I don't have a complaint about him. I think he's going to be very good. But Ball is going to have better numbers because he is a point guard and he handles the ball more. So I would take Ball. I guess
it's a tough one, huh?
It really is. I'd take Ball just for more perimeter
because
players.
the ball's in their hand.
And that's how the Warriors always won, was perimeter. So
you go with Ball on that one. Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think that's interesting there with that you said that, because I thought you're like one of the bigger Wiseman supporters on this podcast. And
I mean, I love
Wiseman. Like I said, this isn't a rip on Wiseman. It's more just now seeing the Warriors play a little bit and seeing Ball's his ability. Like, let's be honest, he's really special at passing. I mean, he just has a real special gift for passing. And then the reality is, like, he's still getting 6 rebounds. You know, he's averaging the same amount of rebounds Wiseman, and he's only playing like 4 more minutes. So he's not playing like a whole lot more minutes. Yeah, his percentage is at 40, but you would think he'd get a little bit better at shooting overall. You'd think he'd get a little better at attacking the rim overall. But there's just like this, like, he just has a really special gift at passing. So I think that's the one thing. But then you look at the Warriors and you see him play against the Pacers the other night, and you see how much better the Warriors are when Wiseman's on a guy like Sabonis compared to when he's out of the game, and like just how much more Sabonis can dominate. And you're like, well, that would be frustrating if we didn't have a big guy to help us with that. You know what I mean? So there is still this, like, I just think it's an interesting call there, because Wiseman still has all this potential, and he shows these signs of fast breaks. The one thing he hasn't shown me yet that I really need to see is the post game. So for me, that's why I'm kind of with you on the Ball part of it as well. But Case, let's get your side, your thoughts on the Warriors and where Ball and Wiseman fall for you.
I haven't been the biggest Wiseman supporter, but I mean, when you watch him play, you can tell he's just got raw skill, man, talent. He just hasn't played a lot, but I think the fit that they have with the Warriors is, you know, perfect. It's just, I know Tyler loves like Kelly Oubre, so it's been really tough for him, I think, to like not space the floor. Just a little shot at you, Tyler. I hate Kelly Oubre. But no, to me, Wiseman, I would take Wiseman still. To me, he's perfect fit. I mean, you can always do 20/20 hindsight, but I think he's got, I don't know, his game's different, obviously, because we're not really accustomed to seeing a big man on the Warriors team, so we've never really seen a good big man develop. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, probably the last like good skill player, Ronnie Cycli, is that you said?
Donald Foyle.
No, Chris Webber comes to mind. Is the last good skilled big man, and I don't see that.
Games.
I don't see that. I don't see that from Wiseman yet, but I think, I mean, God, when you see his athleticism, when he blocked and volleyballed that against the Pacers, I was like, good God. I was like, you can tell he's got so much he hasn't tapped into yet. I just would like to see him just play with that. Like I want to see him get mad once. I haven't seen him get mad yet. Maybe a little frustrated, but not mad. He kind of showed it against the Pacers. But I know LaMelo's a stud, and I've seen him play a little bit, but I've watched Wiseman. Obviously, we're big Warrior fans, so I've seen like every game he's played. He's getting better every game he plays. But the one thing, like you said, Tyler, he's got to stay out of foul trouble. He has a hard time just staying on the court. I think if he could stay on the court, it'd be able to show a little bit more of his skill set, because he's got actually a pretty nice J. He can actually stretch out and shoot a little bit. But I think I agree with Darren. He's got to work on his post game for sure. Yeah,
especially to draw those double teams more. On pod I listen to, Let's Be Real podcast. There's a guy on there. He's on Twitter at Tev Shakir. He brought up Ball, and he had a good comparison I liked. He had Anthony Hardaway as one, and I never really thought about that one before. And when he actually mentioned that, I thought it was a good one, because they're both kind of like tall like that. They both are kind of like triple double type guys, but without like, oh, these guys are great shooters. You don't really think of them quite like that. They're capable, of course, but they're not there. So I thought that was actually a damn good comparison for a guy from the past. And it made me think then, okay, if he has the potential of somebody like Anthony Hardaway, you know, what's Wiseman's ceiling? So it's like, is Wiseman up to somebody like, is he better than can he be better than a Chris Bosh? You know, can he be like, is that where his potential lies? Like, so I think you know what I mean? I'm not sure where he is. Like, that's where I'm thinking he's at, like maybe above Chris Bosh even a little bit, you know.
But we're not sure where Ball is either.
I'll take a Hall of Famer.
No, it is both early. But the thing with Ball that stood out that I haven't seen from Wiseman yet, like this is what I'm saying, it's not yet, is like there's a true gift that I know he has. Like, it's like I can see it. It's like really special, his ability to see certain passes. With Wiseman, he's really good at these things, and his sheer size makes him effective, especially like I said, Just having that guy for post D, having that guy for lobs, like you can't take that away. But what I'm saying is, yeah, well, I know, but I guess what I'm more saying is, can he use that gift even more to impact the game to where like he's drawing double teams, he's seeing these guys even more, and that's where we're still at with both. So the question back to the Warriors is you have Curry, you have Thompson, right? Would you rather have that third guard to go along with them, or would you rather have the big? And based on the way ball's playing this year, I think the Warriors, it would have been a lot tougher for them if they knew this was what they were like coming out of college. I think that second pick might have been a little harder for them. But I think at the end of the day, I think I'm with you, Casey. I think they still go with Ball. Or excuse me, I think they still go with Wiseman. And I think that's who I technically would still go with at the end of the day because of just the factors, like you said, Tyler, you can't get with a 7-footer that's that athletic. And when that has shown the potential to have the skill.
And big guys take a little longer than guards do. Like Sabonis was not very good his first 3 years. I mean, he was okay, but he wasn't. Yeah. When you watch him now, and he's exceptional.
Man, especially his post game too. He's like so patient now. You know.
He's an unreal passer too.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting stuff like that. Yeah. So I just thought it was interesting to show out this week was how the Bulls I think surpassed most of our expectations. So I think it made it
Lonzo.
And then the way I brought it back to the Warriors is, I mean, we're watching Curry be boxed and won, for goodness sakes. You know what I mean? It's like at some point you're like, I wish there was another guard out there that might be able to make a play for somebody else. It's like, you know, that's the thing for me is like, I think maybe for this year it's even worse because we don't have Kelly out there. If Kelly, I don't understand how if you're a teammate of Big Kelly, if you see him, I do this in rec leagues all the time. You're dribbling and you see the guy wide open, and you go, okay, that guy's 1 for 8. You're not passing him the ball. You're just not passing him the ball.
And you're being generous. You're being generous. 1 for 8.
He's hit 7 threes his last 3 games. 3 and 1.
Impressive. I agree. He is the third leading scorer on the team with 11 points. So that does say something. So anyways, I thought that was good talk about. Well, obviously we listen to a lot of podcasts, some of the guys from Memphis, and just kind of curious to see their thoughts on, because they a lot of them are big fans of ball. And also they have a lot of background on Wiseman. Yeah, I don't know where he'll stand with it on it. I know they really like LaMelo and Wiseman, but for me, I just wanted to put it towards the Warriors a little bit more, and like how tricky of a situation that kind of how much closer it is than I thought. So at the end of the day, Tyler, you would take Ball, Casey, you would take Wiseman, and I would end up taking Wiseman as well, right? That's where we would go.
Watching them this year on a whim, I'd take Ball.
Yeah, just to take that chance with it. It'd be interesting to see him and Curry together.
So are we agreeing on this that Michael Jordan got a pick right?
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah,
Michael, you deserve a
that is first one.
Well done. And I want to still be impressed because also one of our fans of the show, Nick Flanagan, he always rips on this one player for everything in the world, and I want to let Nick know he's still starting. Biak Biyombo is still playing starting center for the Hornets. So he is still in the league. The original Bobcat is now back with the Hornets and playing. So I don't know how he's doing it with somebody that can't score.
He was supposed to be the next Surge.
The next Surge. He's definitely not the next Surge. So anyways, that's the Ball Wiseman debate for the week. Be interesting how the Warriors go with that, how that plays out moving forward here over the next 5 years, how their careers play out. A couple other points I wanted to point out for the NBA before we get out of here that I noticed from the week. The Hawks and Trae Young, a little bit more, maybe a little overrated, maybe jumped the gun on them a little too soon. I know they have some injuries with Gallinari and Bogdanovic, but I don't know, T, they look like they're maybe not.
Boy Cam Reddish is getting DNPs.
Yeah, I was going to mention that on that. I'm glad you.
He's like, man, he's not even getting minutes.
Yeah, he's having trouble getting the minutes here a little bit, and he's not. I mean, before that, he was still playing pretty well, so I'm not sure why he's not
getting ripped up. Every time I read an article, he sucks. Like, I don't know what. I think he has that doesn't give a shit face. Like when he misses a shot, he's like,
doesn't care at all. Yeah, exactly, and that doesn't always work well. I thought it was interesting. 40 players right now are averaging 20 points per game. So there's 40 players. That's how much the scoring is up right now. The Lakers are still unreal, and they are probably unbeatable at this point. I think they are. I think we all know that they are the champion at the end of the season right now. Probably, maybe the Nets throw a wrinkle in there, but they're the most engaged team, right? They're the most ready team right now. And then the other one I kind of like from the trade, we didn't talk about it from the Harden part of it, is the Sixers. I think the Sixers are better now because of this. I feel like the trade rumors sometimes
they don't have the weight on their shoulders.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about it is Charles Barkley also thinks the Sixers are going to take off a little bit more. So I don't like that he's behind me on that one. But I just like now with the trade rumors over and maybe Simmons can just kind of play and not have to worry about being traded or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's short term, but at least maybe that's over with for right now.
Simmons has like a mental block just always, I feel like, that throws him off. Like,
did you see the play?
That's why he can't
shoot
shoot. That hook pass thing?
The one he made to Maxey for to try to win the game yesterday.
I don't think.
Yeah, there's like 4 seconds left of the game, and they're playing the Grizzlies, and John Morant had 2 free throws. He made the first to go up 2. He missed the second with 4 seconds. I want to say 5 seconds left. And Ben Simmons gets the rebound, and he's like taking off down the court, right? And in my head, I'm like, okay, I was curious to see if he actually would shoot a 3 because there was so little time on the clock, or what he would do, try to get to the hoop. And he did what I thought. He drove hard past the 3-point line and then whipped a pass kind of in like to the top of the 3-point line to Maxey, who ended up missing the 3-pointer, didn't even hit the rim. But to me, in a situation like that, right, like your best player with the ball, maybe not Embiid, but your best player with the ball, you're expecting him hopefully to dribble down the court and maybe make a shot for himself or play for himself, and he just wasn't able to do that. So I thought that was a very interesting part of the game as well. And I also want to point out John Morant. My last part was he had a quote this week where he says, where he says the NBA, they need to have a system where you're ready to bring up players if we're getting hurt, because they're starting to miss a ton of games now because of COVID and stuff. I've been saying it the whole year. I have like no idea why we're not using G League players or any. You should have 8. You should be able to get 8 players available. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. So
I'm ready.
Yeah, call me. Call me. I'm a rec league.
Nobody wants to watch you guys play basketball.
Yeah, but we've won 3 6-foot and under championships. I mean, we're local legends in that regard, right?
Count of Windsor recognizes that.
Hey, if you go to that website,
we throw balls at refs' heads, and we've done all sorts of stuff.
Hey,
I didn't say who did it. I didn't say who did it.
You shouldn't have been standing there.
We have 2 people here that have been ejected from the rec league games. We're not going to say who those 2 have been. So those are some of the interesting things I found from the week this week. Any of those things you wanted to comment to your case, or anything else you found interesting from the week?
I noticed Lonzo and LaMelo didn't do high knees against each other.
Me and Kyle have played against each other. Yeah.
No, Tyler and Kyle, the brothers, and played just going through the screen through high knees right at the guy's crotch.
So what Casey's talking about, if you don't know, is Tyler's brother Kyle's a very good basketball player. He's better than he's probably better than all of us. He's definitely played at the highest level in high school than all of us. He's played and was a good player. And I would guard him quite hard once in a while when we played rec league, and he would run next to me, and he would start running with high knees to try to hit me in the crotch as I was playing defense.
I think he was trying to give you.
He was trying to hit me in the crotch, buddy. He was trying to hit me. So I always appreciate your brother for that, and obviously me and your brother are cool. We played on teams forever.
Gotta love that competitive spirit.
Well, yeah, that's how you do it when your brothers like that, or even really good friends like that. You get competitive with each other like that. So, all right, well, gentlemen, that's our NBA for the week. Tomorrow, big day for the NBA. I got a ton of games tomorrow. Martin Luther King holiday. It's one of their Christmas Day and MLK Day are some of their big games. The Warriors play the Lakers tomorrow at 7:00. Hopefully they don't get ran off the floor by 70. Game. But I also kind of wanted just to take a sec here to kind of recognize Martin Luther King a little bit here at the end of the week, because I was my son, who's 8 now, was like, well, why do we have no school, Dad, on Monday? And I was like, oh, this is one of your first challenges, Father, is try to explain something like this to him. And so I the other day was kind of doing a little research on him, because I haven't been in elementary school and junior high for a while, so I haven't had to do any projects like that. So I wanted to just look up some facts on him and just kind of reminisce a little bit about Martin Luther King. And I didn't realize it was 50. So it's 52 years now since he was assassinated. Crazy, right? 1968. That's been that long. And especially, I think, given the kind of times we're in, especially the last week, I feel like for the NBA, this is probably going to be a bigger holiday than maybe it's been in even the past a little bit more. It's probably going to ring true a little bit more. I
like how you use that word.
Thank you. So I think it's going to just be, I think it's going to be a bigger deal tomorrow, which it should be. You know what I mean? And I think for us, like where we live, necessarily, we're not necessarily the minority we have out here is we're usually with the Hispanic population. That's the minority we're around the most, and I think we can kind of all relate to these kind of situations and like kind of the good things that Martin Luther King was able to do for our society. So I wanted to bring up 5 facts about him I found very interesting. So he received the Nobel Prize at 35, and he got $54,000 for the Nobel Prize. So he hit that, what a ton of money, and he donated that money. So I thought that was an interesting fact. From 1957 to 1968, he traveled 6 million miles and spoke 2,500 times. He was arrested 29 times, assaulted 4 times. He's the only non-president to have a national holiday in his name. 1983, Ronald Reagan made that a national holiday. And then the other one, he has 900 streets in the United States named after him. So we have 900 streets named Martin Luther King.
What a guy.
So I don't know, just kind of I thought a good time for us to kind of just bring up a few facts about him, and just the week that's the holiday that we get, and just show our times right now in the country. So I just thought it'd be a good time to honor him, and I know the NBA will be doing that like they usually do tomorrow. So I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
Think football will give any? They have to.
Guess not. So
peace and love.
I guess
man.
with that being said, guys, that's a wrap for today's show. Go ahead. My thing cut out for a second. What'd you say?
I just said just peace and love, man. Treat others how you want to be treated. It's pretty simple, but pretty hard at the same time. Shouldn't be. Seems as the older we get, the harder it is to be nicer for some reason. I don't understand that.
I have a problem being nicer.
I like being nice.
At 10, you kind of just, I don't know, at an adolescent age, unless you were raised at certain ways or whatever, I feel like the brain hasn't fully developed, obviously, so you're more accepting of different things.
Yeah, and the world has a way of doing
different
that.
people.
Yeah. You live in the real world for a little bit, and
you get jaded by certain things as you grow older.
The
you
one
should
thing
still be nice. I'm not making any excuse for jackasses.
The last thing with him too is like, when you hear like a speech from him, it's hard not to get like passionate a little bit. Man, the guy had
he's an unreal.
Unreal gift. Like it's like it's not even our lifetime, right? Like not even close. And it's just like you hear a speech from him, and it's just like it's hard not to get a little fired up. It's like
impressed with your word "rain" because you use the word "rain."
That. So so just kind of a special holiday, and we got that coming up on Monday. So the NBA is going to be honoring that very well tomorrow. So with that said, guys, I think that's the end of our podcast. Kind of a longer one this week, but kind of was a lot to talk about. NFL, NBA. I hope you enjoyed it. Like Tyler said, take those 5 seconds, please like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Please follow us at Fatboy FadeAway on Twitter. Tyler at Tyler McGurk, and Casey at C Uncle Saurus. He's on there probably only during Browns games, so he'll probably be out there today, apparently tweeting. So check out some of the other podcasts we like. We got the I Don't Know Sports podcast. He's also a big Browns fan this week with Casey. So he's got his podcast coming out tomorrow. So I look forward to checking that out. We got House of Hoops. So his usually comes out on Tuesdays. These guys are pretty cool guys out of Memphis as well, and they like to talk hoops. And then another guy I found, a young guy out of Atlanta. He has a game called, his pod is What the Game Means to Me. He does a really good job with his podcast as well. And of course, check out our podcast.
I really like that name.
Yeah, he does have a good name. He has a good logo too. So, gentlemen, enjoy the week, enjoy the games.
No thanks to that Kimberly.
All right, we're not going to go there. It's our first unfollow. All right.
Get off.
All right, guys. Peace.